Okay, well, I see that we are at 5 o'clock. Where we would normally go by Berkeley time. For those of you who haven't heard, Berkeley time means that when a class is listed in the class schedule, if it's listed to start at 5, Berkeley time means it would actually start at 10 minutes after the hour. So we're not going to go by Berkeley time today. We're going to keep it on the actual. And so we're so glad that we have this opportunity to welcome all of you who are newly admitted students. Glad that you're joining us, those of you who are able on our YouTube live feed. For students 25 and older, that's broadly how we describe reentry students. And so as we're getting started here, I wanted to make sure that that you know who's on the panel, that you know who's going to be in front of you, so to speak, at least in front of you on your screen. So we'll begin with a few introductions. Sama, would you mind kicking things off for us?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Sama. I was born and raised in a small town in Algeria called Sidrata. I came to America in 2007 with my husband and my daughter. I transferred from Berkeley Community College, and this is actually my second year at Cal, and I'm supposed to be a senior. However, I will graduate next spring because I extended another year since I'm not just a re-entry student, but I'm also a student parent. My major is art practice, and I'm minoring in Arabic as well. Currently, I'm a peer advisor for a re-entry student center, and I really enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Kat. I grew up in Castro Valley, California, which is a town here in the Bay Area. I am also a peer advisor at UC Berkeley, and I help facilitate the OWLS meetings, which are for older, wiser learners. I will be graduating this year with a bachelor's in psychology.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Elisha Creighton, and on behalf of the admissions office, we just want to say congratulations on your admission to UC Berkeley. We recognize that oftentimes reentry students have a lot more responsibilities, and challenges than some of our other applicants and current students. So we are so happy for you and this momentous time of your life, and we would be honored if you would come and be part of our Golden Bear family. So I look forward to talking to you a little bit later on in the session.
Excellent. And I'm Ron Williams, and I'm a miniature rally committee here with my flag. So go Bears. Again, to second the notion, yes, congratulations on your admission. So glad that you've worked as hard as you have and have earned this opportunity. You've earned the opportunity to consider. Hopefully you're considering accepting the offer of admission. And we'll hope that as we get to some of your questions and some of the content that we'll be preparing or sharing with you today, that will help you, kind of give you a little bit of a nudge to lock in becoming a Golden Bear. So I'm the director of the independent student programs within the Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence. The Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence, the shorthand version of that is CE3. This is a collection of about 14 different programs that are aimed at providing assistance, strategic advising and counseling, scholarships, a number of different resources and opportunities for student communities that have been historically marginalized within higher education. So my area that I'm responsible for, independent student programs, is actually a subcluster of that of CE3 that includes the Berkeley Hope Scholars. So that is a program that serves current and former foster youth. The Cal Veteran Services Center that serves not only veterans, but anyone with a military affiliation, including active duty service members and dependents and partners and spouses as well. The reentry student program that you're part of, again, generally reentry students are folks who are 25 years of age or older who are now coming to the university and engaging higher ed a little bit later in life. And finally, our Student Parent Center. You heard Sama mention her experience as a student parent. So our Student Parent Center assists folks who are combining their Berkeley academic career with active parenting. So yeah, a number of things to navigate there. So those are our independent student programs, but I'll share that, so I've been at Berkeley, I've been here 20 years. And for all of those years, I've had the honor of in some way or another being connected to the reentry student community. And so I'm glad to have an opportunity to share, along with my colleague panelists here, some insights for you to consider as strategies and next steps. As we launch into this a little bit, I wanted to share a bit about pathways, because as we saw the RSVPs for today, definitely we know, and this is traditionally the case, the majority of our undergraduate reentry student community come to us as transfer students. So folks, whether transfer from a California community college, another community college, or another institution, folks will then come to Berkeley as an advanced standing or junior transfer. The broader community of transfer students, I'll say, I mean, it's such a spectrum. The most seasoned student this year, I understand, is actually a fairly spry 49. And some of the most seasoned students that I've worked with have been in their 80s. A student at 84 came back to complete her degree in, of all things, of course, history, right? So in the transfer community more broadly, though, we have, so, you know, students in their 80s at times, and then sometimes students who are as young as 12, who are junior transfers, but so a broad community in the transfer pathway. We do occasionally have a small but formidable community of reentry students who are admitted as first year students. So these are folks who would have been UC eligible at the time of high school graduation, but chose other things, or life demanded other things of them, whether that meant work or raising a family or any number of things. And then later in life, they then, not having engaged any other higher education, would then apply and gain admission as a first year student. And the third community of reentry folks who are part of our campus community are folks who've been readmitted. So whether they came to Berkeley initially as a first year or as a transfer, these are folks, sometimes as you begin your academic career at Berkeley, life happens. And sometimes folks will need to press pause on their Berkeley academic career because of health challenges, needs to support family, work, any number of things. So that's, we hope that everyone has the opportunity of having continuity once you come to Berkeley, but the reality is that sometimes needs to be a pathway for folks. And at Berkeley, once you've been admitted to Berkeley, yes, right, admitted to Berkeley, as long as you don't transfer to earn your degree elsewhere, there's a quite generous policy of being able to come back and resume your studies here at Berkeley. So that kind of gives you an overview of who our community are. And really, we're a community that's fairly strong in terms of numbers, roughly 1,700 undergraduates. That's a formidable number. And yet, when you consider that the Berkeley undergraduate community kind of oscillates somewhere between 28,000 and 30,000, that means that it's a percentage of about 5 to 7%. This is a little bit different than what most folks experience compared to their community college, for instance. If you've been studying at a community college, you know that it's fairly common that you're in good community with other seasoned students in the classroom. And at Berkeley, y'all are there, but not quite in as great a percentage as at other campuses. So it creates opportunities like this program in the community that gets built here through the sessions like Kat was referring to, our Older, Wiser Learners sessions, our transition courses that we offer. It's a lot of great opportunity to be around other folks who get your experience and don't necessarily come up to you and ask, oh, are you the professor? You know, the first time you get asked that, it's kind of, okay, that's cool. the 5th, the 10th time you get asked that, it's a little bit like, all right, I'm over it. Yeah. So being in community with other reentry students can be a really great thing. Also note that you as a community are very highly valued by our faculty and GSIs. Now that's a Berkeleyism there. GSIs are graduate student instructors. So you are highly valued because as reentry students, you tend to be the folks sitting in the front of the class. You tend to be the folks that when an instructor asks a question, your hand shoots up first. And that's not just because you're wanting to answer questions and get that kind of face time necessarily, but it speaks to how personally invested you are in your academic experience. You're not here because someone is telling you you have to be here. You're here because you're in many ways, you've put life on hold. You are making your higher education a priority and are actively choosing to engage in that. And faculty and graduate student instructors notice that. They see your hunger and they really appreciate having you in their classrooms. Also, it's because of the additional enhanced life and professional skills that you bring to campus. A lot of times we think of college being formative and you know, when folks come to a place like Berkeley, you get formed by the process. And that's true even among reentry students. And you bring your own life skills and professional skills to this place, and you will help to shape this experience for your student colleagues and for all the rest of us who are part of the Berkeley community. So, you know, my colleague Alicia mentioned some of the complexities. You know, you are, as a community, you're very compelling when you apply for admission. Now, that's not to say that anyone who's a reentry student automatically gets admitted. That is not the case. Y'all have earned your places here. And you do often bring some challenges and complexities that the average bear has not had to navigate. Yes, I did say average bear. I'm really going for that. I'm owning my age here with the old guy jokes. So this is to say, we also understand that as compelling as you are, because of all these complexities that you've had to navigate to be in the position that you are, we recognize that those complexities don't magically go away once you get admitted and become a Berkeley student. Those things that made you so compelling because of how you've figured out ways to navigate and show up for yourselves and your families and be able to make progress in life are why we have programs like the Reentry Student Program and our cluster of programs in the Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence to be able to help support you and help you make the most of the opportunity that you've worked so hard to earn to be here at Berkeley. Funding tends to be a pretty important thing that folks want to hear about. So I'll jump to a few of these very, very quickly. You know that as hopefully all of you have completed the free application for federal student aid. If not, it's not too late. But when you complete FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid, you know that they require you to report on your income from 2 years ago. And so if you are earning less or will be earning less during this coming academic year compared to what you were 2 years ago, this presents an opportunity to reach out to us, connect with us in the Reentry Student Program and my colleagues throughout the Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence to consider pursuing a student contribution appeal. What that process does, and it's not available to you yet, it will be in the future, but a student contribution appeal is a way of letting our colleagues in the Berkeley Financial Aid Office know that yes, although FAFSA, the information that was reported on FAFSA is accurate for 2 years ago, that does not reflect my present reality. And if you had a modest or even substantive income because you were trying to work as many hours as possible, knowing that you were going to continue on, and once you arrived at a 4-year institution, you wanted to be able to work less or hopefully not at all. This is a common experience in our reentry student community. So that would mean that based on your income from 2 years ago, you would be not as eligible for a lot of gift aid because of your earnings. by completing a student contribution appeal, and again, we can guide you through that process, it would make you more eligible for more gift aid. And gift aid is the good stuff. That's the free money. That's scholarships, that's grant, that's departmental awards that are available through the university, the funding that you don't pay back. That's the good stuff. So we want to make sure that folks get maximized with that right from the very beginning. So if you're earning less than your FAFSA would indicate, that's an opportunity for us to have some ongoing conversations. Another scenario is that oftentimes in our community, your expenses will likely be greater than the standard cost of attendance. Now, the cost of attendance is going to be the same for a newly admitted student, whether you're 12 years of age or you're 84 years of age. Everyone gets the same kind of cookie cutter budget initially, but the cost of attendance adjustment request process enables you to document what your actual expenses are. And one prime example of this is in the case of housing. So in the standard cost of attendance, just by way of example, the numbers for this last year, now this may change for the coming financial year 2021, but for the 1920 academic year, for a student living off campus, the standard student budget included roughly about $1,100, for the cost of housing. $1,100 for housing. For folks out there who may have a sense of what the housing realities are here in the Bay Area, that's wow, that's a tall order. If you can find housing for $1,100 or less a month, wow, you've got some skills. So this is to say the majority of students find that they're paying more than that. The cost of attendance adjustment process is a way of being able to document that and create more space in your cost of attendance to increase the size of your cost of attendance for either additional loan eligibility or outside scholarships or departmental scholarships. Additional examples of things that you can include on there would be relocation expenses as moving up to Berkeley, the cost of a personal computer, the cost for travel. And all of these things are because it is the student budget is built on the traditional age student model of where they're going home to visit parents or family during breaks. So that can make for additional money for travel, a number of different things. So there are ways that we can coach you through the reentry student program and through, again, a number of our collaborating programs through the Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence to be able to make the most of your financial aid and other resources. I mentioned departmental scholarships, and one very important one that I want to make sure is on your screen is one that we've secured grant endowment funds for, and that is our Crankstart Reentry Scholarship Program. That is a scholarship that is specifically managed through our reentry student program. And in the Crankstart Reentry Scholarship Program, it's unlike other scholarships where oftentimes you're applying this year and then you would be considered for funding next year. This isn't that way. When you apply for the Crankstart Reentry Scholarship Program, you're applying, the deadline is going to be late September, and you would be funded for this academic year. And we will be going through a selection process where we will award 10 $5,000 scholarships to newly admitted reentry students in our community. So we very much look forward to being able to do that and to honor and lift up the great skill and heart and experience that you all bring to our campus. Beyond that reentry student program scholarship, we also have an array of scholarship opportunities that are available on the website scholarships.berkeley.edu as well. Housing, I know from some of the early questions, this is something that is of concern to folks. So I want to take a step back for a moment now and make sure to bring in our voices of experience, Sama and Kat, to share a little bit about what decision-making process you went through with your specific housing situation and any sorts of guidance you might offer to our newly admitted students.
Hi, my name's Kat, and fortunately, I lived in Berkeley about 4 years before I decided to go back to school. However, I was living by myself and going to school. I couldn't work as much as I used to, and so I decided to rent my room out. And I rent my room to students who are usually visiting scholars from outside of the country, and I find them through a Facebook page called Berkeley Off-Campus Housing. And then also before I did this, I really sat down with myself and thought, what did I want in a roommate? And I think that is something everybody should do. You should take the time and really think, do I want to have a roommate? Do I want to try to find my own studio? What is going to be beneficial and helping me be the best student I can be. So don't rush into finding housing, and just because you find a good deal doesn't mean it's a good fit.
And Kat, yes, absolutely. Can you repeat the name of that Facebook group? I think the Wi-Fi signal got a little garbled there.
Oh yeah, it is UC Berkeley Off-Campus Housing. There's a couple different UC Berkeley Facebook pages, but that is the one that I like the best.
Sama, your thoughts?
So based on my experience, since as Kathy mentioned, I used to live, I've been living in Berkeley almost 10 years. So my kids, they already attend the school at Berkeley. So when I get accepted to UC Berkeley, I get an offer to live at UC Village because I'm a parent student. So it takes me like time and I discuss with my husband and with my kids what is the best for us, because they already attend the school at Berkeley. I have a high school and I have elementary school. So yeah, so we just discuss like a family discussion, and we just ended up by staying in Berkeley, because if I move to UC Village is in Albany, so I have to move my kids to different school there. So, and they are happy with their school now. So that's why I stay here in Berkeley.
Excellent.
Yeah, however, I have a good relationship with a parent student and re-entry student. They live at the UC Village. Yeah, and we visit them like in holiday, like when like we celebrate like holiday, Christmas and Halloween, like for kids. So we get involved for a lot of activity there. So we don't live there, like, but we have a good relationship, like, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent that you're still able to be part of the community, right?
Yeah.
So in slightly more broadly in terms of Cal housing, that's housing that is offered through the university. One of the first and kind of main or primary options would be through the residence halls. And at Berkeley, we call them residence halls. Traditionally, they're called dorms. We do have one of our reentry student program peer advisors who was living in a residence hall before the pandemic struck, and found that to be a really good option for her, not only because it was super convenient, close to campus, meals are all built in, cleaning is all built in, community is all built in because you're with other folks who are definitely part of this Berkeley experience. Res halls, though, I am so glad that has worked out for her. Historically, I would say it's been a bit of a challenge for folks in our reentry student community who've been placed in a residence hall. Some folks were even placed with a first-year admit. So you can imagine someone in their 30s or 40s being placed with an 18-year-old in a residence hall, maybe not the best fit. So that can present some challenges. It's not always going to go that way. We always, there's a number of ways that the university will try and match folks up, but it doesn't always work out in great ways, but it's certainly something to be able to consider. There are university apartments as well that offer a little bit more self-contained there may be a shared like living room area, but then you have basically your own apartment internal to that. And then obviously, as Sama was mentioning, family housing, which is University Village. Now, one of the things that I always like to reference here is that for housing, Berkeley is a great place, and there's challenges here, but for all of its challenges, Berkeley is a really good landlord. And this is to say that if you ever have an issue or a delay with your financial aid paying through or some other complexity, if you have a landlord in the community, we would hope that they would be accommodating and understanding with you, but we know that the university will be. So again, I share that to say, of all the challenges and complexities, the university is a really good landlord. Some other opportunities that you might consider, in addition to just looking generally at Bay Area rentals, either through Craigslist or the Facebook groups that Kat mentioned. The other option I would highlight is the Berkeley Student Cooperative. Co-ops, as they're called, are able to keep costs down for residents because as a resident, you would be expected to contribute a certain number of hours each week toward maintaining of the house. So these are large buildings that sometimes different buildings will have roommates, other times they won't. But the two houses within the co-op system that I would really like to highlight for this community are the Convent and the Hillegas Parker House. The reason why I want to highlight these is in order to even be eligible to live at the Convent or the Hillegas Parker House, you have to be either an undergraduate reentry student, a graduate student, or a postdoctoral fellow. So because of that, because folks are either 25 or older, or grad students, postdocs, this means that those buildings and communities tend to be a little bit quieter, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more academically focused because, with the postdocs there, you're actually in a community of folks where you're with instructors. So it can be a good opportunity to consider something to really be able to keep your costs down, and note that co-ops aren't always going to be the best fit for folks. Sometimes people feel like they need a little bit more space than that, and that's just fine. Try and figure out what your non-negotiables are and what you're looking for from housing, and go from there. Are there other thoughts that you would guide folks regarding housing, Kat and Sama?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, even though I've lived in Berkeley before I went to school, I thought, going to UC Berkeley and already being here, I'd already have a community. And I was jealous of the people in the UC Village because they immediately found their community. It took me about a year to make solid connections at UC Berkeley. So if community is what you're looking for, you might want to look into the student co-ops or the family housing option, if those are open to you. That's all.
Yeah, actually, I had probably the same experience as Kat because it took me a year because my first year as an art major, I just been focusing for my classes, like taking 2 studio art class. That's expected like spending a lot of time outside of the classes. So I just I get to know about the parent center. The student center parent, and during the summer I had chance to do the internship in the student center, and I get like build a relationship and finding my community as a parent student. And after I get to know, and Tommy, he's the program, the coordinator program for the parent center. He introduced the space for me. He introduced the reentry student program, and I just found myself, I just get involved there, and I love being in the space. I love talking to other people, like we share a lot of life experience together. So this is how I started building my community and relationship in terms of like a deep connection between the student or re-entry student.
Excellent. I love you're already going where we're headed next in terms of building community and you know, because community can be connected with housing, but of course it's so much more than just that, right? Oftentimes. So we have a couple questions that we're going to start out with, but for folks who are viewing the live feed, please note we've set up this number specifically to take your questions via text. So please text your questions to 510-447-5148. Again, that's 510, you can see it on screen, 447-5148. And we will look forward to answering those questions as they come in. But as we're getting started with this, this Q&A session, I'm so glad that we're just at 5:30. So this gives us a lot of good time for answering questions. So Sama, Kat, please think back to when it was that you were initially admitted to Berkeley. I know you both already highlighted that you were living in the area, but what are some things that you know now that you wish you would have known back then, or things that you would want folks who are on this live feed who are maybe trying to make a decision whether they accept the offer of admission here at Berkeley or countless other places, no doubt, that they've been admitted to? What would you want them to know?
Yeah, so congratulations again for being accepted to
Yes.
UC Berkeley. It is a very challenging, wonderful couple of years that I've had. And it was the only school I applied for. I had dreamed of going to UC Berkeley forever, and I'm so fortunate to get here. And I was warned multiple times that the workload is extremely hard and so much harder than community college. And I was like, of course it is. It is UC Berkeley. But there's not a way to measure how much harder it is. And so I really, if I could just give one bit of advice to myself in the past, it is to listen to the academic guidelines in the guide of how much reading is going, like time you're going to have to read outside of class. Some of the classes, it's like 14 hours a week, and they are not kidding. So I would seriously just take that advice seriously. And they also suggest only taking 13 units your first semester to ease your way into that. Do that. Don't try to do more. And if you do end up having free time, like 13 units is not enough for you, take that time to meet people and volunteer or get your research units. There's so many different things that you can do that's not just learning at UC Berkeley. What about you, Sama?
I feel like we have a lot of comments between you and, because I'm also just applied for UC Berkeley. I don't apply for any other school. So yeah, I was very excited because I have a little bit different experience, because in my last semester at Berkeley Community College, they offer, there's a program called cross enrollment, which I can take a class. I can choose any lower division class from my major or outside of my major. So I took a class at UC Berkeley before I even know that I get accepted to UC Berkeley. It was like in spring. So I get chance to get to know about the art department because I'm planning to major in art. So I get to know more about requirement class and how I declare my major. So the transition academically, it wasn't hard for me because I already have like an idea about how art major expecting a lot of time working outside of your classes. But socially, this is the hard part for me. As I mentioned earlier, it takes me a year. Like it takes me like the first semester, I I mean, visiting like the parent center students, and after a year, I get to know about the reentry student program. So I really, I wish I had to know before I transfer. I knew that there is a program called reentry student reentry student program and a parent student center too. So I think it's very helpful for students. They have a gap or they taking time before they go back to school, and how they build all this relationship and like yeah, and building community like in terms of network and like a deep relationship with other students. Yeah. So yeah. So academically, it wasn't hard then, like yeah, as much as the socially and building community. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I wonder, are there other particular resources? I appreciate that you've already highlighted, well, as highly engaged as you both are in the reentry student program and in our Centers for Educational Equity and Excellence programs. The sense of community that you've found there and resources. Are there other programs, resources, opportunities that you found particularly helpful that you maybe weren't expecting to find when you came to Berkeley, but have just found some real golden opportunities through because of your status as a Berkeley student?
Yes, there are definitely others. The one that I was thinking of a second ago was I was surprised at how amazing the SHIP insurance was.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lovely it's like it's a hospital. It's a Tang Center where you go for checkups and counseling appointments and talking to health professionals or picking up prescriptions or just to use the free massage chairs. But that has been a wonderful resource just to help you stay motivated and healthy and happy. And they really understand the pressures of UC Berkeley and can help you get through that if you need that help. And so I was pleasantly surprised by that. I also really love the reentry student program, which I am now a part of. I didn't have any time the first 2 semesters because I overbooked myself. So don't do that. But when I found that community and the different scholarships they had to offer, or just keeping me up to date on all the things that there are at Cal, has been really helpful because there are so many resources. Or if I have a problem, I can talk to someone and they can tell me how to advocate for myself. Because that's what you do here at UC Berkeley, is you advocate for yourself. But if you don't know where to start, you might not know that you have that power.
Definitely. And if I can add in just a little bit before we go to Sama, what you were mentioning about our student health insurance, you use the acronym, and I'll make sure to enunciate the P, Student Health Insurance Program. It's commonly referred to as SHIP. So this, it's as Kat referenced, it is a great set of resources for folks: medical coverage, dental coverage, optical, mental health resources. And for many folks in our communities, it can often be the first time that they've had access to this kind of quality medical coverage in healthcare. So not only for the medical coverage, but also as everything that Kat mentioned that they offer through University Health Services. Absolutely.
Yeah, for the resources, actually, I missed a lot for the first year because I didn't get involved and I didn't ask question that much, and like for the SHIP program, yeah, I miss it for 2 years, and I'm planning to keep it and to be a part for next year, because it has a good opportunity and it has a lot of as Kat mentioned, a good dental like cover.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I just want to say, ask question. If you need any help, go ask your department advisor, ask another student, because they have a lot of experience. Like for the tank center, I asked another reentry student, Tian. She's like a peer advisor too. She's the one, she showed me the tank center, because I'm being a parent student, very being a busy student and a reentry student and off campus. So I miss a lot of resource, and I just I just get them this year, being in involved in the reentry student. Yeah, so yeah. And also for the career center, they offer a lot of opportunity for students. They looking for the internship, they working for the resume. So I just get to know about the career center this year, and I start working on my about my master resume. So yeah, and also you can practice your practice, they help you to practice the interview for job. Yeah, this is also a good resource for students. They're looking for a job during their during school. Yeah, go check career center and download the handshake uh, app, so they can update you with a new job opportunity. Yeah, I think this another resource. Yeah, you can just check them.
Excellent. Yeah, a great one. Because, as important as it is to earn your Berkeley degree, we also recognize that Berkeley is not the end of what you're aiming at. You're trying to earn this degree, this credential, to be able to move on, whether that's, into a graduate program or into or back into career or career change even. So being able to connect with our local experts at the Career Center, very valuable, definitely. I wonder if if you both might share a little bit about your experience with Berkeley Financial Aid and how I know you shared that you only applied to Berkeley, but commonly we hear from students that their Berkeley Financial Aid offer was quite a bit stronger than what they saw at other campuses. But I wonder what's your experience been with managing your resources, qualifying for additional scholarships, anything like that you'd want to share with folks?
Yeah, so I've applied for a few scholarships and I was pleased to get them. Financial aid, it's easy to connect with them. They're here on Sproul, but you can call them, you can send them emails, and they have different departments that will help with the specific issues you have. My first semester was very challenging, and so I was actually put on academic probation. The second semester I was here, but the financial aid, or the people who were in financial aid, really helped me through that process. I think I did an appeal, but I still got funding, and they made sure that everything was okay, and they didn't make me feel like a failure, because I wasn't a failure. It's just I had a rough semester, and that happens. And so I'm very happy with financial aid.
I'm seeing a question here that is, for financial aid purposes, what housing type would the Berkeley student co-ops fall into? And so I'll share briefly that the co-ops, there's an interesting dotted line relationship to the university. In order to live in the co-op, folks have to be a student, but not necessarily a student at UC Berkeley. You've heard references to Berkeley City College. That's the community college campus. It's like 2 blocks from campus. they could be a student there, they could be a student at Mills or St. Mary's or a number of different colleges and universities here in the East Bay or Bay Area, and still qualify to live there. So as long as someone has student status, they would be able to live there. So this means that for financial aid purposes, that's an excellent question. It would be considered living off campus. So in terms of packages, I'll also mention too, that they change depending on housing type. So the largest financial aid package that folks would have would be living in the res halls. The res halls are probably the most expensive housing option on campus. And so because of that, the cost of attendance is the largest. Next up would be living off campus. So, apartments, that kind of thing. And the smallest cost of attendance or student budget would be if someone has the category living off campus with family. That because campus then or financial aid would make the assumption that then that person is not paying rent. So they would have a lot smaller budget because of that. But there are ways to be, you're not locked into, because your status can change from one term to the next. If you're living in an apartment and decide that you are and apply for and find a place in on-campus housing, for instance, that can be a dynamic process. Sama, anything as a student parent with regard to financial aid? I know that's it's a challenging prospect to not only be a Berkeley student, but also be balancing the needs of your family and everything. So I did, not to put you on the spot, but if you have any thoughts to share about financial aid.
For the financial aid, I'm so happy about their service, and actually recently, especially for this a tough time as a parent student, my husband not working, so I just applied for the cost of attendance recently, and I get some help, like in terms of loan. I get some help in terms of funding, so which is great. It's make me like a little bit like reducing the stress being like home and like worrying about like paying rents and other expense. So I email them sometimes like 3 times a day. They answer. Yeah, they email me back because it's a different process applying cost of attendance. You have to like to improve like a lot of documents. So yeah, it takes me like a week, like just to fill the application and make sure it's like, yeah, it's the right thing. Yeah, and actually I get a lot of help from Tommy, like the program coordinator at the parent center. Yeah, yeah. So I'm so happy about the financial aid. Yeah, I get a lot of support and like answering my question and what is the best thing I should add in my application. Yeah, and all the documents.
Can I keep the spotlight on you for a little while longer, Sama? Do you want to talk a little bit about the Reentry Student Program Leadership Award that you've just received, and the project that you're going to be getting underway as some of these folks will be coming to campus?
Yeah. So for the project, like I'm working now, yeah, it's supposed to be like making an art piece or a mirror in the reentry student program space that in the B North. But since everything is it changed like virtually, so I just shifted the project like in online project. So I'm gonna give chance for reentry students to participate in the piece of art, so they can share their sketches, they can share their drawing, or even like their thoughts. So I'm thinking to combine all this in one piece, and we can present them as an art piece, like from the reentry student they made by a reentry student during this tough time, because because during this time, we physically, as I mentioned, disconnected, but emotionally, we still supporting each other. We still sharing a lot of thought, a lot of support, like being success, like in our classes and schoolwork and homework and being home. So all these things, like we're gonna combine them in one piece. So hopefully, yeah, I will send the description of the project soon, so we can share also with the new student, new entry student. I will. So it's gonna be like very open, yeah, project, even for the parent student as well. If they wanna participate, I will be happy because we have a lot of parent students and also the early entry students. Yeah, so they can share their thought, they can share their drawing, their painting, or anything during this tough time. So we can just combine them in one piece, and we can just, yeah, share the arts project, like, and even like online project. It's gonna be like, I think it's gonna be a good thing.
Fantastic. Yeah, completely agree. And Kat, I wonder, you alluded to it earlier, our Older Wiser Learners, or OWLS groups. I wonder if you might say a little bit more about our OWLS groups and even the transition course that we have available through the Reentry Student Program.
Yes. So first off, the 198 course, the transition course, it's 1 unit, and I took it my first semester. I was in a small group of people. I think there was maybe 10 of us, and by the end of the semester, there was only 5. I'm also a spring admin, so it was, there just wasn't a lot of us, but it was extremely helpful to have an hour a week to just check in and understand that I'm not alone. And that is continued with OWLS for our Older Wiser Learners. Currently, we meet twice a week. You don't have to show up to both meetings or any of the meetings or just one meeting. We're very casual, but we talk about different resources and tips. Recently, we've been talking about the importance of sleep and how to get better sleep, but we've talked about study skills and how to make a new routine. We've talked about healthy eating and the basic needs programs on campus, or different decal classes that are better for reentry students, or just to complain, because sometimes you just need a place to vent. It's okay to not love every minute of UC Berkeley. And so that's what we do. We have a check-in, and it's a good way to build a community with people who understand what you're going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, being around other folks who get it is just invaluable. So great opportunities there. I want to make sure that we take a few minutes to talk about next steps with admission. So for this, I'll pitch to my great colleague, Alicia, who can come on and guide folks through this.
Great, thank you. So I just have a few kind of just tips and you know, for you to be aware of. One is to make sure that you read your conditions of admissions. So a lot of the times we get our admissions letters and we're excited. We're like, yeah, you see that first sentence and it says, congratulations, you've been admitted. And then you like celebrate. So that's awesome. Definitely, I hope you took the time to celebrate. But go back to your conditions of admissions and actually read through it, because it's going to tell you everything you need to do in order to maintain and sustain your admission to UC Berkeley. So you definitely want to make sure that you have read thoroughly through that. If there are any changes or updates, or if you had to, you know, we understand there's things going on right now. The pandemic has completely thrown everything amok, right? So if there's any changes or updates you need to make to the application, please let us know as soon as possible by going into your Berkeley portal, which is, thank you so much, Ron, for supplying the website for that, but make sure you go to your Berkeley portal and fill out an update form. That's what it's literally called, an update form. And let us know of any changes to your application so we can make sure that you maintain your admission. Moving forward, also, since I mentioned the portal, make sure that you look thoroughly through that. It's a great one-stop shop for you. There's information about housing, financial aid. There are tasks. This is important. Tasks for you to complete. Again, in addition to your condition of admissions, to make sure that you sustain your admission with UC Berkeley. And again, it's just a great one-stop shop for you. So you can see everything in one place. So make sure that you go through that. If you have any questions, a lot of the times the answers are there. And then if you have questions and need answers, a lot of times you can reach and contact us through that portal. And then, of course, last but not least, we want you to say yes to UC Berkeley. So you can find your statement of intent to register on your portal, and we would love to have you be part of our Golden Bears. If any of the students watching this are on the wait list, and this is for transfers only because our freshman wait list deadline has already passed. So if you're a transfer student and you're on the wait list, make sure that you opt in by May 15th. Again, I say May 15th is the last day that you can opt into the wait list. If you do not opt into the wait list, then unfortunately you will be taken off the wait list and you won't potentially be offered admission to UC Berkeley if there's a space available at a later time. So I just want to make sure that my transfers out there know that. And other than that, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact our office. We're really transparent. We really want to talk to you. We're very welcoming, and we want to talk to all of our admitted students or any perspective or anyone that actually has questions about admissions at UC Berkeley. So hopefully that answered any questions that you may have. And if not, again, please contact us and we would love to speak with you. Go Bears!
Absolutely, go Bears. I'm going to take a step back from our slide presentation and share this view so you can see all these wonderful faces a little bit better. We're approaching the end of our session, and I wonder, if you have any parting thoughts. We already got the nudge to work on those next steps and hopefully accept that offer of admission. But any final thoughts that you would want to leave with students who are still sitting with this new information of being admitted to Berkeley or making their decision? Yes.
The Berkeley alumni family is strong. It is, I didn't understand what it meant to be a Bear. And then every time I meet somebody and they go to UC or they've been to UC Berkeley as well, we have an instant connection. They want to see you succeed. They want you to succeed here. And so if you choose Berkeley as your college, you will not be disappointed. No one else?
Any thoughts? Yeah.
Say something. I still want to say something.
I know, I was gonna say.
I'm just gonna start saying "Go Bears" whenever I'm done talking.
Yeah, you want to make me cry, Kat? Yeah, because Berkeley, it's my dream school. When I was in Algeria, if you don't know, Algeria is located in North Africa. So when I moved here, I just keep in my mind this is the school I want to go, and this is the reason I just applied for UC Berkeley, and I'm so happy, I'm so glad I've been a part of this of these people that support me as an immigrant. I came here as an immigrant, and English is my third language after Arabic and French, and I get involved with too many different community here and different activity, and I learn a lot from different background, different culture. So I'm so happy I've been a part of UC Berkeley, and I choose the best school. And my kids, they are so happy and so proud of me being like a CAP student. And my little one, she's always say, okay, I want to go to UC Berkeley like mommy. So my high school, she's in 10th grade. She needs like 2 more years to go. And she said, okay, before you start UC Berkeley, I'm always thinking, I want to apply for Stanford, I want to apply for other UC, but now I just realized that UC Berkeley is the best school. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I have been around in admissions for a while, and I absolutely love UC Berkeley. I love the traditions. I love the education. Oh my goodness, the history. There's so much, and I am really one of those people. I used to wish that I had, what do you call it? Like I was like Superwoman or like, you know, Superman, or like I had special powers that I could heal the world or make change. And I realized that I can do it as a mortal, right? And you can actually do different things and go out and make those changes. And I love the fact that at UC Berkeley, that is the fiber and the culture of our campus, is making positive change for humanity, right? And then you have a lot of fun doing it. So I absolutely love UC Berkeley. And again, congratulations to all those that have been admitted. And then also too, I think one of the biggest things for me in admissions is that oftentimes there are certain pockets of students that kind of are nervous, right? They're nervous or they're afraid, and they're afraid that they're not going to feel welcomed. And I just want you to know that we do want you, clearly, and that we do welcome you, and that sometimes we all go through things, right? And we don't know when you're going through something. So all you have to do is just let us know. Just let us know. We have so many resources for you here. And the moment that you have that one little inkling, like, oh, you know, let us know, right? Let us know, and then we'll help guide you the best that we can. And you have a wonderful panel of students, and you have Ron and myself that are here that are going to help you navigate through this. And then trust me, there's going to be that time where you're going to be walking that stage, right? Worth every last single minute of it. And so we're going to enjoy celebrating with you at that time, right? So we're celebrating with you now, but we're going to celebrate with you at that time when you graduate from UC Berkeley. So again, congratulations, and just let us know if you need anything.
Yeah, I so appreciate that you shared that, Alicia. Over the years, there've been just honestly countless students who either shortly after they've been admitted, or as I've been had the opportunity of working with them throughout their Berkeley academic career, have shared with me, well, Ron, I'm not the smartest person. I'm just really hardworking. Yeah, that's why you're here. Right. There are some folks that are scary bright, but yeah, don't worry about them. As hard as you've worked to have this opportunity, you've put yourself in this position to now be at this new level and have these new access to opportunities and ways that you can advance your own life and that of your family, that of your community, and impact the world around you. I often also tell folks that—
And can I—
Oh, please.
I was just going to say, and for all those scary, bright people too, the perfect place for you. Right. So I was going to say, and it's like a great, I don't want to say marriage because I don't want to make it romantic, but it's where you can marry those that, you have those that are really hardworking and that have to fight for those, I'm like that too, fight for those grades. And then those that are they just get it naturally, and it's a great marriage between both students. So I just wanted to tell you, I just wanted to say that because I love the fact that you mentioned both.
The other thing too is that we recognize that the position that you're in, you have a choice to make, and we hope it's a choice that you're operating not just from brand name and recognition and whatever, but that you're making and by being part of this and accessing this information, hoping to get yourself to a place where you're making the best informed decision as to what campus is going to be the best fit for you. Because I often will reflect that Berkeley may not be for everybody, but it is for anybody. And I mean that because it's a public institution, a land grant public institution. There's something to that. there's something to that in the special sauce that so many of you on our panel, you know, have alluded to in one way or another. There's something special that takes place here. And all of us are part of it, and we love being part of it. And we're looking forward to the prospect of welcoming you to have your piece of this as well. So thanks so much for joining us. If we didn't happen to get to all of your questions, please reach out to us by email, reentry@berkeley.edu. Look us up on Facebook. I know Facebook has its thing, but it is a great way of being able to access some additional information and resources too. So, all right, all. Go Bears.
Go Bears! Congratulations, everyone.
All right. Stopping the live stream.
You can do it.
And is the record, we're still going.